Shalom, my name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the vineyard. Every day, Yahuah is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to His righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of His law. Join us as we seek to be refined by His Word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in His way, truth, and life. Shabbat Shalom and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard YouTube live stream of our Torah portion. My name's Adam and I welcome you. This is week 43 and it is the last portion of the book of Numbers. But the good news is next week we also get to start the book of Deuteronomy. So before we get too far into it, let's actually just pray and bless our Creator. That's the best way to start this study. Heavenly Father, Yahuah, we come before you and bless you in Yahusha's name. We thank you for the ability to gather together like this all across this earth that you've made, and to study your word, to study your Torah, and to sharpen each other. And, oh Father, we just pray that you would continue to open our eyes and ears and to bestow wisdom upon us that we may understand your word and do it. We bless you and thank you for sending Masei, Yahusha, that we may have forgiveness and that he showed us how to do this. Shabbat Shalom. Amen. All right, let's get into it. So this is going to be Masei. This is Numbers 33:1 through 36:13. So we're going to finish up the book of Numbers today. So let's get to it. And so Masei, it talks about the journeys. It talks about the instructions for inheriting the land, the Levitical cities. And what else? And yeah, the daughters of Zelophehad again. So, with that being said, let's go. Numbers 33:1, and we're going to be reading out of the Sefer version, and we'll be cross-referencing in the Aramaic Targums a little bit too. These are the journeys of the children of Yasharel, which went forth out of the land of Mitzrayim with their armies under the hand of Moshe and Aharon. And Moshe wrote their goings out according to their journeys by the commandment of Yahuah, and these are their journeys according to their going out. So, interesting little note here that, Yahuah, or the word of Yahuah, told him, hey, write down these journeys. It's important. I'll share with you kind of some of my thoughts here in just a moment. And they departed from Ramesses in the first month, on the 15th day of the month. On the morrow after the Pesach, the children of Yasharel went out with a high hand in the sight of all the Mitzrayim, of all the Egyptians. It's interesting, as you go through these journeys, as we're finding out, Hebrew names have such deep meaning to them sometimes, and sometimes it tells part of the story. Sometimes a name's just a name, but sometimes there's some interesting things, like the first place they're at, after, we'll think about this, their journey started in Ramesses. They departed from Ramesses, right? So their journey started in Ramesses. Well, that translated is the Son of God, right? And then the next place they go here, we'll read that in a second. So, for the Mitzrayim buried all their firstborn, which Yahuah had smitten among them. Upon their Elohim also Yahuah executed judgments, right? So all their gods, their false gods. And the children of Yasharel removed from Ramesses and pitched in Sukkot. So Sukkot is shelter or dwelling. So it starts with the son of Elohim and into his shelter, his dwelling. I don't know, it's interesting. Maybe I'm reaching here, but I think it's kind of cool. And they departed from Sukkot and pitched in Etham, which is in the edge of the wilderness. And Etham means in the wilderness, the edge of the wilderness. And they removed from Etham and turned again into Pi Hahiroth, which is before Baal Zephon. And they pitched before Migdol. And Baal Zephon was like this large false god image. We read about this back in Exodus when we read through the Targums. It clarified this Baal Zephon was like an Egyptian idol, like the only one that was left, because it was outside of Egypt. Let's see, Pi Haroth is mouth of caverns. Migdol is the tower, right? So, interesting. I'll tell you what, I'll probably share my notes on this, and that way if you all want to kind of take a look at some of the names of all these, the meanings for all these names, it's kind of interesting. And they departed from Pi-hahiroth and passed through the midst of the sea into the wilderness, and went 3 days' journey in the wilderness of Etham, and pitched in Marah. And they removed from Marah and came to Elim, and Elim were 12 fountains of water and 70 palm trees, and they pitched there. I think in the Targum it says the 12 fountains representing the 12 tribes, and the 70 palm trees representing the 70 elders. And they removed from Elim and encamped by the Red Sea. And they removed from the Red Sea and encamped in the wilderness of Sin. And they took their journey out of the wilderness of Sin and encamped in Dopka. And they departed from Dopka and encamped in Alush. And they removed from Alush and encamped at Rephidim, where was no water for the people to drink. And they departed from Rephidim and pitched in the wilderness of Sinai. And they removed from the desert of Sinai and pitched in Kivrot Hatta'ava. And they departed from Kivrot Hatta'ava, which is the graves of lust, and encamped at Chatzeroth. That's like villages or courts. And they departed from Chatzeroth and pitched in Rithma. And they departed from Rithma and pitched at Rimon Peretz. And they departed from Rimon Peretz and pitched in Libnah. And they removed from Libnah and pitched at Rissa. And they journeyed from Rissa and pitched in Kehelatah. And they went from Kehelatah and pitched in Mount Shefer. And they removed from Mount Shefer and encamped in Chadara. And they removed from Chadara and pitched in Makheloth. And they removed from Makheloth and encamped at Tachat. Tachat. That's interesting. I don't have Tachat down here. I must have missed that one. And they parted from Tachat and pitched at Terach. That was the Abraham's father's name. And they removed from Terach and pitched in Mithka. And they went from Mithka and pitched in Chashmona. And they departed from Chashmona and encamped at Moserot. And they departed from Moserot and pitched in Bnei Yakan. And they removed from Bnei Yakan and encamped at Hor Hag-Gidgad. That's the coolest name in the whole Bible. Hor Hag-Gidgad. The hill of felicity, which is happiness, you know. And they went from Hor Hag-Gidgad and pitched in Yotvatha. And they removed from Yotvatha and encamped at Ebrona. And they departed from Ebrona and encamped at Etzion Gever. And they removed from Etzion Gever and pitched in the wilderness of Zin, which is in Kadesh. And they removed from Kadesh and pitched in Mount Hor in the edge of the land of Edom. Now Aaron the priest went up into Mount Hor at the commandment of Yahuah and died there. In the 40th year, after the children of Yasharel were come out of the land of Mizraim, in the first day of the 5th month. Now Aaron was 123 years old when he died in Mount Hor. And King Arad the Canaanite, which dwelt in the Negev in the land of Canaan, heard the coming of the children of Yasharel. And they departed from Mount Hor and pitched in Salmona. And they departed from Salmona and pitched in Punon. And they departed from Punon and pitched in Ovot. And they departed from Ovot and pitched in Iye Havaraim, in the border of Moab. And they departed from Iyim and pitched in Dibon. And they removed from Dibon and encamped in Almon Divlat Yama. And they removed from Almon Divlat Yama and pitched in the mountains of Avarim before Nebu. And they departed from the mountains of Abarim and pitched in the plains of Moab by the Yarden near Jericho. And they pitched by the Yarden from Beit Ha-Yeshimot even unto Avil Hash-Shittim in the plains of Moab. And Yahuah spoke unto El Moshe in the plains of Moab by the Yarden near Jericho, saying, Speak unto the children of Yasharel, and say unto them, When you are passed over the Yarden. Actually, we'll stop here. Hold on. We'll pause. Okay, so I want to talk about the journeys, because sometimes we read through the Torah and we're like, okay, so we're reading all this, and what's it mean to us? Well, that's what I want to continue to glean as we read through this. And forgive me, I usually start off these studies by saying this. I'm just a student of the Torah. I'm not some, wise old teacher of the Torah that's been doing this all my life. I've been called to study it, and I invite you to do these with me weekly as we continue to study and to grow. And each year, it's interesting. Those of you, I know some of you have been doing this. This is my third year doing the Torah portions. We've learned a lot together, and I think the longer we have here, the more we will glean each year. But anyways, point being is I offer these as a study, not as a teaching. There's some teachings, I guess you'd say, on the channel, on the ministry. But I truly offer these as a study, the Torah portion specifically, because I've got a lot to learn. And so I figure we can learn together. It's like we're hanging out in my living room, but unfortunately right now it's only a one-way conversation. Hopefully in the future we're worthy. We can enter into New Jerusalem and we can have more than one-on-one conversations. Or move out to Missouri and come to our weekly Sabbath gatherings, because we do a group discussion instead of a. It's not like a place for me to do teachings. It's a place where we do group studies. So. Okay, so testing in the wilderness. There's some interesting things I wanted to read about this. So, think about this. Think about the Israelites in Egypt, and we saw, if you're with me through Exodus and Numbers at least, you saw how people they kept wanting to go back because it was tough. And it's tough in the wilderness. Take all of us right now, without warning. Let's go. You're out in the wilderness, we're out in the desert, and we don't have our refrigerators, our air conditioning. I love air conditioning. That's going to be a big one for me. Just being honest with you. As you can probably hear it right now. You can hear that. That's my AC unit in here. But take all of us right now and throw us out in the wilderness. It's going to be a shock. Big shock, right? So we need to prepare our minds for whenever that day may come, because the scriptures do clearly say there's going to be another Exodus, a bigger one. We may not actually be in the desert for a certain period of time. If we are, hopefully it's only 40 days, how it was supposed to be. But unfortunately, it turned out to be 40 years for them because they were disobedient. But my point is this: they were in Egypt. Life was comfy. It was hard because they were killing their children and making them work really hard. But how many of us out there work really hard? And you're working for what? For your mortgage, for your rent, for your car payment, to pay off your credit cards. Your debt slaves. Some of you out there be like, Adam, we got everything paid off. You are one of the few. But how many conveniences do we have here? Life is comfortable for the most part. Sure, we have our issues and we have things that come up, but come on. We have it pretty good here. We do. Now, nothing would be better than living, in New Jerusalem or living in the land of inheritance where the whole land is ruled by Torah and there's no sex trafficking and lies all over television, and of course things are going to start changing for us soon with lockdowns and mandates and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, life is pretty good for most of us. I'm sure some of you are probably going through some rough times and you're like, Adam, it ain't easy right now for me. And I hear you. I really do. I'm just saying overall, the situation we're in. I mean, think about it. They were killing their babies there. You don't think they're trying to kill our children now with the V's and this pill culture we live in, and the false medical system and all the fake food, and of course they're trying to make us sick and dependent upon them. It's really the same thing all over. It's Egypt all over again with a facelift, or a different version of it. So anyways, my point is, most of us also lived in sin, And so Yahusha has freed us, our Passover lamb freed us from the bondage of sin. And how many of us, after really coming to the truth, even though I think for a lot of us, we have a lot more peace of mind in our lives are better in general, it's a tough road. The wilderness is tough sometimes. And this wilderness that the Israelites went through, it was tough. Sure, it was tough. There was times where they didn't drink water for 3 days. That's hard. Like, one day for me is hard of not drinking water because I'm not used to it. I've been in some hot climates. I've been through some really rigorous things in the Marine Corps, but we had water. You know what I mean? So anyways, we should realize that, we're being tested just like the Israelites were, and in a large part they all failed because, they're disobedient. So the point is we need to stick it through and keep his ways and keep his commandments at every stop. And we just read 40 stops? At every stop, wherever it is. Some of these stop names, shelter, dwellingness, or wilderness. One of the stop was bitterness. Another stop was resting place. Another stop was the shining place. Whiteness, heap of ruins, assembly, brightness, fear, place of assembly, support, sweetness, fatness, bonds, a hill of felicity, right? Hor HaGidgad, I love that name. Pleasantness, the backbone of man, a dry place. I mean, so it's like whatever is thrown our way, we need to stick it through with him. All right, let's read. So in thinking that, this is going to happen again one day, 2 Ezra 15:10-18. Behold, my people is led like a flock to the slaughter. I will not allow them to live any longer in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them out with a mighty hand and with an uplifted arm, and will smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all its land. Let Egypt mourn and its foundations for the plague of chastisement and punishment that Yahuah will bring upon it. Let the farmers that till the ground mourn, because their seed shall fail, and their trees shall be ruined by blight and hail and a terrible tempest. This is the destruction of Egypt all over again, right? And he's saying right here, I will bring them out with a mighty hand, right? And as a people in general, we're led like a flock to the slaughter, especially with this V situation. You know what I'm talking about, the V that's going on. Anyways, and he's going to destroy Egypt again. Alas for the world and those who live in it, for the sword and misery draw near them, and nation shall rise up to fight against nation with swords in their hand. For there shall be unrest among men, growing strong against one another. They shall in their might have no respect for their king or the chief of their leaders. For a man will desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be in confusion, and the houses shall be destroyed, and people shall be afraid. So I thought that was interesting. We did a study, if you haven't seen it, we did a study, was it a couple days ago, 2 days ago, a couple days ago, called Lockdowns in the Bible. And here it is. For a man will desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. There's lockdowns written 2,500 years ago during this time of calamity. So really, really interesting. As far as the wilderness and the experience and the hardships and the proving that he does with us, this is what it's decreed from the Most High. Ever since the transgression of the garden, this is what's decreed for man. Sorry. I'm going to read 2 Ezra 7:6-14. Another example, there is a city built and set on a plain, and it is full of all good things, New Jerusalem. But the entrance to it, New Jerusalem, is narrow and set in a precipitous place, just like Yahusha said, the way to life is narrow. So that there is fire on the right hand and deep water on the left, and there is only one path lying between them, that is, between the fire and the water, so that only one man can walk upon that path. If now that city is given to a man for an inheritance, how will the heir receive his inheritance unless he passes through the danger set before him? That's our portion. That is what's been given to us. If you want to get into this New Jerusalem, right, this kingdom, you got to pass through the narrow and difficult places. So he's asking, how can he receive the inheritance unless he goes through, unless he walks that path? And I said, he cannot, Adonai. And he said to me, so also is Israel's portion. For I made the world for their sake, and when Adam transgressed my statutes, what had been made was judged. And so the entrances of this world were made narrow and sorrowful and toilsome. They are few and evil, full of dangers, and involved in great hardships. That's the walk. That's the wilderness. That's the testing, the proving in the wilderness. But the entrances of the greater world are broad and safe and really yield the fruit of immortality. Therefore, unless the living pass through the difficult and vain experiences, they can never receive those things that have been reserved for them. This is what we have to go to. This is part of it. So think about it. The Israelites were saved out of the land of Egypt, and they were protected from death by the blood of the lamb, the Passover lamb, foreshadowing Messiah. They go into the wilderness to be proved, tested, to see what was in their heart, to see if they keep his commandments or not. The people that didn't go in. The people that did went in. That is an example for us, and Paul does a good job of knitting it together. 1 Corinthians 10, 1 through 13. I want you to know, brethren, that our fathers were all under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and all were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. And all ate the same supernatural food, and all drank the same supernatural drink. For they drank from the supernatural rock which followed them, and that rock was Messiah. Right? And so don't let anybody tell you that Messiah didn't interact with man prior to him coming down and being born of the Virgin Miriam. Nevertheless, with most of them, Elohim was not pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now these things are warnings for us, not to desire evil as they did. Do not be idolaters as some of them were, as it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to dance. We must not indulge in immorality as some of them did, and 23,000 fell in a single day. We must not put Yahuah to the test, as some of them did and were destroyed by serpents, nor grumble, as some of them did and were destroyed by the destroyer. And that's a big one. That's a big one. Like, how many of us grumble, like, when things go wrong, when we're tested? What if it's just to see what you would do, right? What if it's just to see your reaction and see how you'll handle things? And I'm talking to myself, too, because I used to be a grumbler. I would always just be like, such and such and such. I was. I can admit that before you all. I used to complain and grumble a lot. And I have to catch myself, right? Like, if something goes wrong in my life, first thing I'm like, what did I do? At least that's how I'm thinking. I'm not doing it. I'm like being I'm not doing that, but I'm just saying in my mind, I'm like, oh, what did I do, But sometimes this testing is just to see how we'll react, see how our faith, our perseverance, you name it. Now these things happened to them as a warning, but they were written down for our instruction, upon whom the end of the ages has come. Therefore let anyone who thinks that he stands take heed lest he fall. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. Elohim is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your strength. But with a temptation will also provide the way of escape, that you may be able to endure it. Praise be to Yah. Okay. Let's go back. Numbers 33:50. Just look at my notes real quick, make sure I didn't forget anything. Okay. And Yahuah spoke unto El Moshe in the plains of Moab by the Yarden near Jericho, saying, Speak unto the children of Yisrael, and say unto them, When ye are passed over the Yarden into the land of Canaan, then ye shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land before you, and destroy all their pictures, and destroy all their molten images, and quite pluck down all their high places. And ye shall dispossess the inhabitants of the land, and dwell therein, for I have given you the land to possess it. And ye so here, think about this. Think about, in Isaiah 5, let's just pull it up. In Isaiah 5, the Most High shares a parable about, really it's a song, but the song is a parable about the house of Israel. Let's just read it. Now I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved hath a vineyard and a very fruitful hill, which is the land of Israel. And he fenced it, and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done to it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, it brought forth wild grapes. Anyways, he goes on to say he's going to destroy it. But the point of this is, when they go in the land, right, they were supposed to destroy all the inhabitants there. I mean, like men, women, children. And, in case anyone's like, oh, that's kind of gruesome. Why would our Heavenly Father, who loves everybody, do that? Well, these Canaanites were mixed with giant DNA, and from the mixing of the angels and the women, and these Canaanites were a big part of that. And they were wicked. And we also find out in Jubilees 7 that these Canaanites were warned not to settle in this land because they were supposed to settle in Africa somewhere. This wasn't their portion, but they settled here anyways. And they said, nah, whatever. Because Noah had assigned his three sons and all their grandsons all different portions of the earth. And as Canaan and his sons were walking through, they're like, this is pretty nice. What do y'all say we just hang out here? And everybody's like, hey, don't do that. You're going to be cursed. And they're like, we're good. We're good. We're going to hang out here. And so this was part of this was part of what was coming to them. I forget what chapter in Jubilees. I want to say it's somewhere between 7 and 9 in Jubilees if you want to read that. But this is part of that curse. And the Israelites were to execute that judgment, that vengeance upon them. So that's the main part. More so that was the real reason. But of course, their DNA was mixed and all those kind of things. But the point is if I get off on these tangents sometimes. If you look at how Israel was likened to a vineyard, and they were planted in a choice hill, which is the land of Israel, prime location essentially. Anyone that's ever planted anything, what happens to your crops when weeds start growing all around it, right? It kind of overtakes. It sucks up the nutrients from the ground. It just overtakes the ground, right? And it's not a good situation. And, and then it robs the nutrients, and then the fruit can't produce, as well from the plant, and so on and so forth. So we all know that if you don't get the weed by the root, boy, it just comes back with a vengeance. I mean, it's just it's just terrible. And so what he's saying here is destroy all of them, everything they have, all their images. I mean, everything, just destroy everything, because they're like weeds. They're like weeds in this fruitful hill. And if you don't destroy them, they're going to come back and it's going to haunt you. And that's what he goes on to say. So, and you shall divide the land by lot for an inheritance among your families, and the more you shall give more and to the more you shall give the more inheritance, and to the fewer you shall give the less inheritance. Every man's inheritance shall be in the place where his lot falls, according to the tribes of your fathers ye shall inherit. So we were reading these Torah portions, trying to glean what that looks like for us and what we can learn from it. So what we can learn from this right now: have more children. You have more children, your inheritance is going to be bigger. You have less children, your inheritance is going to be smaller. He did tell us to be fruitful and multiply. If you can. I'm not trying to make a joke out of it. I know there's some people out there that can't have children, or in a situation that you can't have children. I'm just saying, those of you that can have, I'm not trying to be insensitive, but those of you that can have children, have more. Because here, straight up, if we're going to glean something from Torah, the bigger your family is, the bigger the inheritance is going to be. What do you do with that? Take it at face value. Now here's a warning, right? Here's if you don't, imagine this. If you're going to your garden and you don't pluck out the weeds by the roots, it's going to be bad. But if you'll not drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you, then it shall come to pass that those which ye let remain of them shall be pricks in your eyes and thorns in your sides, and shall vex you in the land wherein you dwell. Moreover, it shall come to pass that I shall do unto you as I thought to do unto them. Not good. Now let's the wrong end of this Targum. Let's read just a little bit of the Targums for chapter 33. We're going to read, these are the journeys of the sons of Israel who came out from Mitzrayim by their hosts, after the miracles had been wrought for them by the hand of Moshe and Aharon. And Moshe recorded their outgoings by their journeys by the word of Yahuah. We know who that is. And these are their journeys by their goings forth. They departed from Pelusin, and the mouth in the first month, on the 15th day of the month, after they had eaten the sacrifice of the Pascha, did the children of Israel go forth with uncovered head in the sight of all the Mitzrayim. So, we won't talk about that. We won't talk about dates in time frames, but you'll see here. Yeah, let's just skip that part. And then Mitzrayim buried those whom Yahuah had killed among them, even all the firstborn, and upon their idols did the word of Yahuah do judgments. Their molten idols were dissolved, their idols of stone were mutilated, their idols of earthenware broken in pieces, their wooden idols turned to ashes, and their cattle gods were slain with death. Pretty cool stuff, right? But you can see here the word of Yahuah. So our Yahusha came down and was like, or at least he decreed it. One of the two. I'd like to think he came down and was like, okay. So let's in wrapping up about, I want to wrap up my thoughts about the garden and getting out the weeds. How much even more so if our beings, our soul, our ruach, whatever, our whole self is the temple of Yahuah, and it's the word of Yahuah is the seed, and it gets sown into us. What kind of ground are we? Well, you can look at sin as being like weeds or like thorns that like the thorns that choke up the word in the parable of the sower. But if we have sin like rooted in our heart, and we're like, we just take off the surface, but we don't get to the root of it, there's a problem. And we talked a lot about this. If you're interested in learning a lot more about this, we talked about it in the Hebrew Gospel of Matthew when we went through the Beatitudes. So pretty much all of Matthew 5 and some of 6, which consisted of about 3-4 different weeks of studies, we talked about getting at the root of sin, getting at the root of the problem. And that's like just a, kind of a spoiler alert. It's kind of the basic premise or thought process of that is when Masei expounded on the commandments, where he's like, you've heard it was said of old time, thou shalt not murder. But I say unto you, you shall not hate your brother in your heart, because hating your brother in your heart is the root of the problem. People don't murder other people unless they have hate, or it's jealousy. So it could be jealousy too, to be in fairness. Like your wife's caught in adultery, and you hate the guy, and you want to kill him, whatever. But getting to the root of the problem, just like a good gardener gets to the root of the weeds, we need to get to the root of our sin and our issues and whatever it may be. If you're having issues, something I used to pray about quite a bit, going through shedding off lustful thoughts and just things that we don't need. Yahuah, it's in Psalm 119, Yahuah, turn my eyes away from beholding worthless things. Numbers 34. And Yahuah spoke unto Moshe, saying, command the children of Yisrael, and say unto them, when you are come into the land of Canaan, this is the land that shall fall unto you for an inheritance, even the land of Canaan, with the coast thereof. Then your south quarter shall be from the wilderness of Zin, along the coast of Edom, and your south border shall be the utmost coast of the salt sea eastward. And your border shall turn from the Negev to the ascent of Male Akrabim, and pass on to Zin. And the going forth thereof shall be from the Negev to Kadesh Barnea, and shall go on to Chatzar Adar, and pass on to Atzmon. And the border shall fetch a compass from Atzmon unto the river of Mitzrayim, and the goings out of it shall be at the sea. And as for the western border, ye shall even have the great sea for a border. This shall be your west border, and this shall be your north border. From the great sea ye shall point out for you Mount Hor. From Mount Hor ye shall point out your border unto the entrance of Hamat. And the goings forth of the border shall be to Tzedad. And the border shall go unto Ziphron, and the goings out of it shall be at Chatzar Enan. This shall be your north border. And ye shall point out your east border from Chatzar Enan to Shepham. And the coast shall go down from Shepham to Rivla, on the east side of Ain. And the border shall descend, and shall reach unto the side of the sea of Kinneroth eastward. And the border shall go down to the Yarden, and the goings out of it shall be at the salt sea. This shall be your land with the coast thereof round about. And Moshe commanded the children of Yisrael, saying, This is the land which you shall inherit by lot, which Yahuah commanded to give unto the 9 tribes, and the half-tribe. For the tribe of the children of Reuben according to the house of their fathers, and the tribe of the children of Gad according to the house of their fathers, have received their inheritance, and half of the tribe of Manasseh have received their inheritance. The 2 tribes and the half-tribe have received their inheritance on this side of the Yarden, near Jericho, eastward, toward the sun rising. And, okay, let's see, a visual of that. That's Joshua. Where's the one? Oh, that's the Levite cities. I didn't mean to. Here. Click the wrong one. So. Here, there's the Numbers 34. The Numbers 34 map. And Yahuah spoke unto Moshe, saying, These are the names of the men which shall divide the land unto you, Eleazar the priest, and Yahusha the son of Nun. And ye shall take 1 prince of every tribe to divide the land by inheritance. And the names of the men are these: of the tribe of Yehudah, Caleb the son of Jephunneh. And the tribe of the children of Shimon, Shemuel the son of Ammihud. Of the tribe of Benjamin, Elidad the son of Kislon. And the prince of the tribe of the children of Dan, Bukai the son of Yoglai. And the prince of the children of Joseph, for the tribe of the children of Manasseh, Chaniel the son of Ephod. And the prince of the tribe of the children of Ephraim, Kemuel the son of Shiftan. And the prince of the tribe of the children of Zebulun, Elisaphan the son of Parnak. And the prince of the tribe of the children of Issachar, Paltiel the son of Azan. And the prince of the tribe of the children of Asher, Achiud the son of Shelomai. And the prince of the tribe of the children of Naphtali, Pedahel the son of Ammihud. These are they whom Yahuah commanded to divide the inheritance unto the children of Yisrael in the land of Canaan. Let's see, what did I have? Did I have any? Okay, yeah, that's all I had for 34. Okay, 35. And Yahuah spoke unto Moshe in the plains of Moab by the Yarden near Jericho, saying, Command the children of Yisrael that they give unto the Leviim of the inheritance of their possessions, cities to dwell in, and ye shall give also unto the Leviim suburbs for the cities round about them. And the cities shall they have to dwell in, and the suburbs of them shall be for their cattle, and for their goods, and for all their beasts. And the suburbs of the cities, which ye shall give unto the Leviim, shall reach from the wall of the city, and outward 1,000 cubits round about. And ye shall measure from without the city on the east side 2,000 cubits, and on the south side 2,000 cubits, and on the west side 2,000 cubits, and on the north side 2,000 cubits, and they shall be in the midst. This shall be to them suburbs of the cities. And among the cities which ye shall give unto the Leviim, there shall be 6 cities for refuge. We'll talk about this in a little bit. Which ye shall appoint for the manslayer, that he may flee thither. And to them ye shall add 42 cities. So all the cities which ye shall give to the Leviim shall be 48 cities, and shall you give with their suburbs. And the cities which ye shall give shall be of the possession of the children of Yisrael. From them that have many ye shall give many, but from them that have few ye shall give few. Everyone shall give of his cities unto the Leviim according to his inheritance which he inherits. So here's the Levite cities, and you'll see here's a good one. So it's cool. You see they're totally spread around. One I think about quite frequently is Anathoth, where Jeremiah was from, the priests in the land of Benjamin. Okay, there's a cool little write-up I want to read for you. I did a good job of talking about the Levitical cities. This is on Bible Gateway. Just type in Bible Gateway Levitical cities if you want to look this up. 48 cities allotted to the Levites by Moses and Yahusha. The tribe of Levi did not receive any part of the land of Canaan as an inheritance, references. To compensate them for this, they received the tithes of Israel for their support. So they did the work of Yah, and the people supported them. And 48 cities were allotted to them out of the inheritance of other tribes. Of these cities the priests received 13. And 6 were cities of refuge, to which men who had accidentally killed someone could go for protection. The Levitical cities were made up by taking 4 cities from each of the 12 tribes. The apparent purpose of thus dispersing the Levites throughout the land was to enable them, as the official representatives of the Hebrew faith, to instruct the people throughout the land in the Torah and in the worship of Yahuah. So we just saw that here, right? They're spread abroad pretty well. It's a pretty good spread. The description of the measurements of the cities and the pasture lands connected with them, as given in Numbers 35:4, which we just read in 5, is difficult to understand and has given rise to many different interpretations. The Levites were not the sole possessors or occupiers of these cities. They were simply allowed to live in them and have fields for the pasture of their herds. These cities did not cease to belong to the tribes within which they were located. The Levites could sell their homes, but could redeem them at any time. And if they failed to do so, the homes automatically returned to them in the year of Jubilee. Their fields, however, could not be sold. The Levites did not live only in Levitical cities. They appear to have been regarded, in some respects at least, as belonging to the tribe within which they resided, even if it did not happen to be a Levitical city. Hence, in the statement in Judges 17:7, now there was a young man of Bethlehem in Judah, of the family of Judah, who was a Levite, and he sojourned there. Thus also Elkanah, the father of Samuel, who undoubtedly was a Levite, is called an Ephraimite. The Levites are never regarded as a 13th tribe. These cities were allocated to the Levites by anticipation, to be occupied by them only to the extent that they required them and the Israelites possessed them. It is unlikely that the Levites ever dwelt in all of them, or even most of them, for some of them did not belong to Israel until long after the time of Moses and Yahusha. 1 Chronicles 6:54-81 also gives a list of the Levitical cities, but the list is smaller than the one in Yahusha, and there are changes in names, perhaps because there was a change to a new city due to the unsuitability of the old one, or because some of the older ones were no longer in use. Levitical cities mentioned in Jewish history after the time of Yahusha are Beth Shemesh, Jatir, and Anathoth. Oh yeah, that's Jeremiah, okay. So I guess that wasn't an original one, or the name was changed. So, any case, just thought that was an interesting little read there. Let's move on to cities of refuge. And Yahuwah spoke unto El Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Yisrael, and say unto them, When ye are come over the Yarden into the land of Canaan, then ye shall appoint you cities to be cities of refuge for you, that the slayer may flee thither, which kills any person at unawares. And they shall be unto you cities for refuge from the avenger, that the manslayer die not, until he stand before the assembly and judgment. And of these cities which ye shall give, 6 cities shall ye have for refuge. Ye shall give the 3 cities on this side of the Yarden, and 3 cities shall ye give in the land of Canaan, which shall be cities of refuge. These 6 cities shall be a refuge both for the children of Yisrael, and for the stranger, and for the sojourner among them, that everyone that kills any person unawares may flee thither. So an accidental death, right? And if he smite him with an instrument of iron, so that he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. And if he smite him with throwing a stone, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. Or if he smite him with a hand weapon of wood, wherewith he may die, and he die, he is a murderer. The murderer shall surely be put to death. The revenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. When he meets him, he shall slay him. The Targums actually clears this up a little bit, because right here, it almost seems like you can just be a vigilante. Like, you can just go out around and just be like, I'm the murderer avenger. I see you. That always kind of like, it didn't rub me the wrong way, but I'm kind of like, But the Targums clears this up, at least for me. But if he thrust him of hatred, or hurl at him by laying of weight, that he die, or in enmity smite him with his hand, that he die, he that smote him shall surely be put to death, for he is a murderer. The revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meets him. But if he thrust him suddenly without enmity, or have cast upon him anything without laying of weight, or with a stone, wherewith a man may die, seeing him not, and cast it upon him that he die, and was not his enemy, neither sought his harm, then the assembly shall judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood according to these judgments. And the assembly shall deliver the slayer out of the hand of the revenger of blood, and the assembly shall restore to him the city of his refuge, where he was fled, and he shall abide in it unto the death of the high priest, which was anointed with the holy oil. That is interesting. First of all, city of refuge. Here are the 6 of them. Let's go the 3 on the east side of the Jordan, and the 3 on the west side. So it's interesting what we just read, that this person would have to flee to the city of refuge, or to a city of protection, and he wouldn't be able to leave it until the death of the high priest. Kind of a foreshadow of Yahusha, right? Not fully released from sin, from our transgressions, until the death of our high priest. Pretty cool. Interesting passage, too, to connect that. Hebrews 6:13-20, for when Elohim made promise to Abraham, because he could swear by no greater, he sware by himself, saying, surely, blessing, I will bless you, and multiplying, I will multiply you. And so, after he had patiently endured, he obtained the promise. For men verily swear by the greater, and an oath for confirmation is to them an end of all strife. Wherein Elohim, willing more abundantly to show unto the heirs of promise the immutability of his counsel, confirmed by an oath, that by 2 immutable things in which it was impossible for Elohim to lie, we might have a strong consolation, who have fled for refuge to lay hold upon the hope set before us. So this fleeing for refuge, you'll see, actually points to Messiah. Which hope, right? So this is fleeing for refuge, like the manslayer would flee for refuge, right? Which hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast, and which entereth into that within the veil, whither the forerunner is for us entered, even Yahusha, made an high priest forever after. Made high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So Yahusha is that foreshadow of the city of refuge, and the death of the high priest, and it's just pretty cool. And the release, it's pretty cool. But and obviously it's a righteous law that someone that did something on accident, wouldn't suffer the penalty of death. Now, they did have to suffer a little bit in that my life might have been a little more uncomfortable for them, because they had to live in one of those cities where maybe they, that's just, I don't know. What if, like, tomorrow you had to move across the country, and you're like, okay, and you have to stay there, right, until a certain period of time. It's a little uncomfortable, but it's righteous, because it's a righteous judgment, because, you took somebody's life. There's consequences for that. But you're not guilty of death because you didn't do it on purpose. You're not a murderer. And so that's righteous. Whereas, what if the Torah law was, hey, you did it on accident, you killed somebody, you better be careful. So everybody out there, you better be careful. No accidents. If you even have an accident, you're going to die. Like, that would be super rough. Numbers 35:27, and the revenger of blood find him without the. Okay, so I skipped one. But if the slayer shall at any time come without the border of the city of his refuge, whither he was fled, and the revenger of blood find him without the borders of the city of his refuge, and the revenger of blood kills the slayer, he shall not be guilty of blood. So, like, if you leave this protection of the city, and you die, or you're allowed to be murdered, you're allowed to be killed. So it's just like, whoa. Because he should have remained in the city of his refuge until the death of the high priest, but after the death of the high priest, the slayer shall return into the land of his possession. So these things shall be for a statute of judgment unto you throughout your generations and all your dwellings. Whoso kills any person, the murderer shall be put to death by the mouth of witnesses. But one witness shall not testify against any person to cause him to die. So here we kind of see that that there has to be witnesses, and somebody just can't go around and be like, hey, I saw him, he murdered. That's not how it works. It's not vigilante stuff. Moreover, ye shall take no satisfaction for the life of a murderer, which is guilty of death, but he shall surely be put to death. And ye shall take no satisfaction for him that is fled to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the high priest. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defiles the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Defile not therefore the land which ye shall inhabit, wherein I dwell, for I, Yahuwah, dwell among the children of Yasharel. In the Targums, I just wanted to read a little bit here. Let's see, where are we? Did I go too fast? No. Okay. We're just going to read a little bit right here. Is this what I want to read? Okay. And Yahuwah spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak with the sons of Israel, and say to them, When ye have passed over the Jordan unto the land of Canaan, ye shall provide you cities with streets and houses of living. Cities of refuge shall they be to you, that thither the manslayer may flee who has killed a man inadvertently. And they shall be to you for cities of refuge for the manslayer from the avenger of blood, that the man may not be put to death till he have stood before the congregation of judgment. And these cities which you give shall be 6 cities of refuge for the manslayer. 3 ye shall appoint beyond Jordan, and 3 in the land of Canaan. Cities of refuge shall they be for the sons of Israel, and the sojourners among you be these 6 cities of refuge, that thither whoever has killed a man through ignorance may flee. Yeah, in any case, okay. I probably wrote that down wrong. Yeah, okay. My apologies. All right, let's just finish up. In any case, so Numbers 36, and we'll finish up the book of Numbers. And the chief fathers of the families of the children of Gilead, the sons of Machir, the sons of Manasseh, the families of the sons of Joseph, came near and spoke before Moshe and before the princes, the chief fathers of the children of Yasharel. And they said, Yahuwah commanded my Adonai to give the land for an inheritance by lot to the children of Yasharel. And my Adonai was commanded by Yahuwah to give the inheritance of Zelophehad our brother unto his daughters. And if they be married to any of the sons of the other tribes of the children of Yasharel, then shall their inheritance be taken from the inheritance of our fathers, and shall be put into the inheritance of the tribe whereunto they are received. So shall it be taken from the lot of our inheritance. And when the jubilee of the children of Yasharel shall be, then shall their inheritance be put into the inheritance of the tribe whereunto they are received. So shall their inheritance be taken away from the inheritance of the tribe of our fathers. And Moshe commanded the children of Yasharel according to the word of Yahuwah, saying, The tribe of the sons of Joseph has said well. This is the thing which Yahuwah commands concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying, Let them marry whom they think best. Only to the family of the tribe of their fathers shall they marry. So shall not the inheritance of the children of Yasharel remove from tribe to tribe, for every one of the children of Yasharel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. And every daughter that possesses an inheritance in any tribe of the children of Yasharel shall be a woman unto one of the family of the tribe of her father, that the children of Yasharel may enjoy every man the inheritance of his fathers. Neither shall the inheritance remove from one tribe to another, but every one of the tribes of the children of Yasharel shall keep himself to his own inheritance. Even as Yahuwah commanded Moshe, so did the daughters of Zelophehad. For Malka, Tirzah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Noah, the daughters of Zelophehad, were married unto their father's brothers' sons. And they were married into the families of the sons of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, and their inheritance remained in the tribe of the family of their father. These are the commandments and the judgments which Yahuwah commanded by the hand of Moshe unto the children of Yasharel in the plains of Moab, by the Yarden, near Jericho. Finish with the book of Numbers, brothers and sisters. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Yahuwah, we come before you and we bless you and thank you for this time that we have together to study your word, to share your word, and to grow together in your precepts. Father, we ask in the name of Yahusha that you would give us wisdom and understanding regarding your scriptures, that we can continue to grow and to do what's right in your sight. For we want to hear, well done, faithful servant, O Yahuwah, and we want to do your will. We bless you And thank you for all that you do. And we say Shabbat Shalom. And thank you for opening up our eyes in these last days. Hallelujah. Brothers and sisters, we're going to do a little shofar because we forgot to do it earlier. Also, if you haven't heard, we are doing a nationwide baptism. We've got maybe like 12, 13 locations going on. It's going to be the 14th of August. And if you want some more information, there's just like a 3-minute video here. You can check it out. Right here, you want to be baptized? Just check it out and see if there's an area near you. If you want to get baptized, it's going to be August 14th, somewhere around 1 p.m. Central, wherever you're at. And I have information for many different locations. If you want to get baptized, just there's either phone numbers or emails. You can contact them, and if you want to get baptized, get baptized. So with that being said, we're going to end with the priestly blessing and one other song. And I pray your Shabbat is amazing, and I'll see you next week in the book of Deuteronomy. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shabbat Shalom. Yevarechecha Yahuah ve'yishmerecha Ya'er Yahuah panav lecha v'chuneka Yisa Yahuah panav lecha ve'yaseh lecha shalom Yisa Yahuah bless you and keep you. Yahuah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Yahuah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Everywhere I look, they're filled with fear, covered faces, and all those needle cheers. They all are blind, they cannot see. It's not about health, but controlling you and me.
Give